Should you summon for this awakened Teen Gojo? Short answer, yes, probably. For some reason they've announced that on Global we will be getting this new awakened Gojo significantly early. As you can see here, he's going to be coming on Friday the 25th. And his banner is going to last for over a month, going through all of August to the start of September, which is huge. In between those, we will also have a banner for zoneji, as well as Toji. I will say this now, don't summon on either of these banners, and I'll explain why shortly. Well, I'll explain now. It's because there isn't really a good image of this, but if you look closer, you can see that the hidden inventory units, so Teen Jo, Teen Geto, Toji, as well as Blue Miwa, Green Saki, Yellow Yaga, Gakuganji, Blue Nanami, and Green Maki, they are all joining the standard pool. Which means, why the hell would you summon on this banner? Why would you spend stones on it if the better unit of the two is going to be in the standard pool? Because as you're summoning for this Gojo, you'll probably end up pulling a Toji, a Yellow Teen Jo, Teen Geto. You'll probably end up pulling them while waiting for this guy, while summoning for this guy. The reason you shouldn't summon on Zoneji is because Yellow has only a few really good DPSs, and the two top, like unarguably, are Zoneji and Teen Jo. And Teen Jo's already joining the standard pool, so if you're going to pull him anyway from the standard pool, which you will, why pull for Zoneji? He's a very fun unit, and he is kind of needed for, like, I think it's floor 54, where, like, you really need to hit black flashes to get through, but besides that floor, this Teen Jo's fine for literally everything else, so you don't really 100% need him, right? But as I say, this banner is going to be active for a month. While it's there, should you summon for this awakened Teen Gojo? As I said, yes. Right, whilst Green as a typing has a few good DPSs like SP Green Yuji, Mekamaru, obviously Hollow Purple Gojo, his damage is insane, okay? His solo damage is ridiculous. I mean, just look at his ult. Like, 1,800 doesn't seem like a lot because, you know, everyone looks at Yuta or the other Hollow Purple Gojo and they'll see 1999 and assume that it does more damage. But then you just see, you know, like this little bit here, increase it, like the amount of turns you have left will increase it by up to 50%, which is huge. He can buff himself like an absolute demon. The more he does his skill 2, he collects like a cursed energy cores, which also increase the amount of damage his ult will do. Like, he builds himself up just like Ultimate Mekamaru, except he just does more damage to solo enemies. He is very much a solo attacker. Whilst his skill 1 can become an AoE when he is in Awakened mode or Honored 1 mode, you're not going to be using that a lot. You're just going to mainly be using a skill 2 and then buffing with a skill 3. But as I say though, like, I'll repeat it again, the fact that this unit, his banner, will be active for an entire month is disgusting. Because if we look here at this little timeline, we're going to be getting a bunch of events, of course, which we tend to do. So we get 3,000, so that's a free multi anyway. We'll be getting like close to 2,000, 3,000 from the Imaginary Realm if you like max it out. Like, we'll be getting plenty of events on top of, you know, the pity points you can collect from other banners, on top of like leveling up characters, etc. You can probably just, I can see the mass majority of people, even if they don't pull him from the banner, I can see a lot of people pitying him just because of how long this banner is going to be out, which is disgusting. But another thing to quickly mention is, so recently just got Meme, and also on the 25th, I don't know if you saw, but we are also getting a bunch more of the Shibuya stuff, at least the story mode. And on JP, after Meme, we got Ino. Well, I say we, I don't play JP, but I know the timeline. We got Ino after that, right? And then after Ino, it was, I think, these two units afterwards, and then Red Nanami, which means they've kind of just skipped over Ino, which is fine. He's not exactly a groundbreaking unit, but it is interesting to see because they're going to have to double back for him. Like, they really want to catch up with JP as soon as possible, and this kind of shows it. But also, as I said, since a lot of the best units for their typings, like as you can see here, Toji, Teen Jo, Teen Geto, they're some of the best units for their types, which means since the second best yellow DPS is going to be in the standard pool, you don't need to summon for Zoneji. Since red Toji is joining the standard banner, you still don't have to summon for Meme because he's going to be joining the standard pool and he's just better than her, right? But we're just going to be getting so many stones, so I can see everyone pitying him. But should you summon for him in the first place? Yes. I think you should. I will say this about the unit, the only small downside is that he can take a little while to optimize, to get to his max potential damage, because he needs to be in the Honored 1 state, which takes time, as he needs to build up 1168 ult gauge, which will then turn him into Honored 1 mode, which lasts 8 turns, which is absolutely filthy. And after you've entered Honored 1, you also need to, you know, make sure you have max cursed energy cores, which I think is 7? I can't remember the specific max. It's like 7 or 8, I think. And they increase the amount of damage your ult will do. as well as your skill 2. Yeah, up to 8 times. The first one is 35 and every sequential one is 25. He buffs himself significantly, dude. Like, he is one of those units which is great that because he doesn't rely on debuffs for damage, which is perfect. There are a lot of units that rely on debuffs, like Teen Ghetto relies on debuffs. Granted, he's not a DPS, but you get what I'm trying to say. He's a unit that can buff himself to do a bunch of damage, even without supporters. He can do quite a lot of damage. But let's go through his skills properly. So his skill 1 is kind of nice. Decreasing damage by 20% for 3 turns is really strong. I really like it. A similar skill is Yellow Teen Gojo's skill 3. It's very similar. It's also really good. It's a hybrid damage, which is also kind of nice. But his main goal is obviously Jujutsu damage. That's the only physical damage he has in his entire kit. So obviously, in regards to memories, you're going to be using Jujutsu damage. Obviously, non-standard. I think this new memory is really strong. I'm pretty sure it buffs Jujutsu by like 45, and it buffs by an extra 50 if it's of green typing, which is really strong. As I say as well, since he is a Gojo, he starts with the Limitless active. He has immunity when he goes into Honored 1. If he has low health, gets immunity. I'm pretty sure he can also revive himself. Like, he is absolutely filthy. He can counter. His the amount of damage you can do from this, 650 even when not in his Honored 1 form or his Honored 1 mode, and then you switch to Honored 1 mode, and he gets a buff as well, and he gets 1 core every time he buffs, right? Which doesn't sound like a lot, but as I say, this like stacks up to 8 times, which is disgusting. When he revives, he gives himself free. If he's got low HP, he just has a random 20% chance to dodge, which is kind of neat. He has a chance to counter, gives himself counter status. It does 520 Jujutsu damage and gives him even more cursed energy cores, which is disgusting. His kit is very reminiscent of Mechamaru because you want to build up a status. Granted, for Gojo, his cursed energy cores are to himself, but with Mechamaru, he's dealing Mechamaru counts to the enemy, and you want to maximize them before you hit your ult, and just look at that. So it does 1800 plus it can do up to 50% more plus all the buffs provided by the cursed energy cores, which is up to 210% more, which means this dude can hit insane damage. As I say though, his ult is solo target only, which upon my first impressions, I did a first impression video a while ago, I thought that was bad. I was like, oh, you only get to ult one person, but it's not that big a deal because he increases his own ult charge rate by 16. It's not that huge, but he also he constantly just buffs his own ult charge rate. Like, he's constantly doing it with his skill 3. He's constantly getting ult gauge all the time. And when he's in Honored 1, gives himself a counter, 60% damage for 3 turns, and yet ult charge again. He's going to be getting ult charge very quickly. When he uses ult, he gets it even faster, right? He's an absolutely filthy DPS, and even for clearing, he's not 100% terrible because when he's in Honored 1, his skill 1 turns into an AoE blue, which is kind of nice, and lowers the damage by 30% for 3 turns, which is, yet again, really strong. There's nothing very weak about this unit. All of his kit is very strong and ties into itself very, very cleanly. But think of him as like more of a solo DPS because, you know, you just want to mainly focus on spamming skill 2, spamming skill 3 when you have the ult gauge, and spamming ult 3 when you're in Honored 1 before you ult and you have max charges on your cores. He might be a little bit of a pain to optimize, but the damage he gets, even without optimization, is filthy. Right? It's absolutely disgusting. But should you summon for him? Personally, I think yes. I think you should. You're going to be getting a bunch of free cubes anyway. We're going to be having a bunch of events. We're going to be getting like a bunch of stuff that kind of, the game wants you to pull for this unit, right? It's kind of, it makes you want to pull for another Gojo. I am kind of annoyed, as I said in my impressions video, that it's just a 5th Gojo. I didn't think we needed one, and I'd been fine if he was like of a different typing, as said there, but this unit, absolutely disgusting DPS, one of the best DPS in the game. I mean, you just need to look at his percentages and it's very, very clear. He can't Black Flash, so what? Like, his percentages are so high. His buffs are so disgusting. He can get the Limitless active to make himself invincible. Like, he's just not going to die. And on top of that, he can revive himself. Like, he's high survivability, really high self-buffing, has a chance to counter. When he's low on HP, he has a chance to dodge. His self-buffing from just using his attacks as well. Like, this skill too, like, obviously since it's a Gojo, he can use whatever skills he wants because he doesn't need cursed energy. But this skill is disgusting because the damage is really high, and every time he uses it, it does more damage, and it also increases the damage of his ult as well. Like, it's filthy. There's no real downside to him besides building up ult charge. But if you use like the I forget the name of it, the Nanami Yuji versus Jogo memory, which increases ult charge rate, you use that and you buff him and you debuff the enemy, you can just hit some silly billy numbers, and you know that, right? This banner is a must summon. Do I say go for dupes? That's a completely different argument. Me personally, I am perfectly fine with like just having a unit at grade 1 and then slowly giving them higher grades through like the universal like awaken crystals, like the universal SSR crystals. I'm fine with doing that slowly over time, but he will be improved significantly with like 1 or 2 dupes. I will say that. Since he is a Gojo, he doesn't get buffed by like, you know, increasing initial cursed energy. He just gets raw stat increases, which means he will just increase his damage even more. If you want your Gojo to do even more damage, sure. He doesn't need it, but screw it, why not? As I say, summon for this unit. Should you summon for Shoko? That's a different question. I'll probably make a video about that shortly in the future, because she comes out a week or so after this Gojo. So I'll probably do that in a week or so. But yes. And as I say, we'll get cubes from the story mode as well. We'll get cubes from, you know, the random 3000. We'll get cubes from these all events at the bottom. Like, think about it. This... From the 25th of July, all of August, and then the end of, like, the start of September. Like, think about that. That entire time, you will be getting cubes from logins, from events, from the story, from level ups. You can just pull this Gojo. You can brute force it without spending money if you've saved up a little bit for him. Like, you can pull this guy, and I suggest you do. If you have Mechamaru, I think you should still summon for him, but, you know, you don't need to go as hard. He's not, like, a necessity, but I will still suggest that you do, because he looks like a really fun unit. Just look at these auto skills, man. He's disgusting. He's actually disgusting. But yeah, he is one of the best DPSs in the game, hands down. He's a very unique unit. To conclusion, should you summon for this guy? Yes, and you have a very long time to do so. That's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. I'm still working on plenty of videos for this channel, and hope you enjoyed. Towards my doodles, hope you see you in the next one. Peace.